Here's the problem I'm trying to solve. 66 Corvette with a street shop chassis in it. Mustang rack and pinion steering from DSE. When I turn to the left, I bottom out at one turn. Back to straight ahead. Turn to the right. And there's one turn. And it's hitting the fender, the tire, but it's going 1.5 turn. Next we'll go underneath and show you the geometry underneath to show you why I think it's the rack. Sight down the tires, shoot down the tires. You can see that we're pretty well lined up front to rear. I've set the toe on this front and back. Come over to this side. And sighting down the side tires, you can see we're pretty darn square. So when we come in here, you can see we have just under an inch of thread. Passenger side. Go to the driver's side. Exact same measurement. About 15/16 of thread showing. So it looks centered. The boots are about the same length. I've got 6 3/4 here, measuring from the groove, and this boot, which is a different boot from the other side, it's about 6 1/4. So it's a different part number, the one boot from the other. Okay, what I've done here is I've taken rubber bands and stretched them between the upper control arm mounting point and the lower control arm's mounting point, or pivot points for both. So taking a tape measure, holding the camera square as we can in front of it, pinching off the inner tie rod end. It's right about here against my fingernail. Sighting down here, it's about an inch from this rubber band. Okay, going over to the driver's side, we'll repeat the process. This time I'll use my right hand, which is a little more coordinated. Pinching off the inner socket. Sighting this way, I have about 1.5 inches. So I'm pretty close to the proper zone. Talking to DSE, or Detroit Speed, they were trying to say this rack was a 2.5 turn rack. So for that to be so, I would need to center it out about here. I would have to take up all the thread on this side and probably be out to the end on the other end. So I don't think it's right. Their engineering sheet says it's supposed to be 3 turns lock to lock, and that kind of makes sense. Okay, 66 Corvette with a street shop chassis. I've adjusted the tie rods so that I have a 1 1/4 turn left and 1 1/4 right. I brought the steering wheel up 1/4. So let's see how it works now. I'm going to go 1 turn and 1/4. Seems correct. Let's come back. There's my 1/4. There's my 1 turn. Let's go to the right. There's my 1 turn. And there's my 1/4. So I'm pretty well centered now. Just a little less limited steering. Let's raise the car and see how it is underneath now. Okay, so here we are underneath. I've adjusted this tie rod end so that we're now square, 1 1/4 turns to each side. You can see I now have about 1 inch and 9/16 thread showing. Come on over to the passenger side. And I have 1/2 inch of thread showing. So clearly have to have off-centered this rack in order to get the steering centered. Okay. Come over here to the passenger side, pinching the boot. And I see about 1.5 inches to the inner socket. Going over the driver's side. I now have about 1 inch to the inner socket, so I'm actually reversed from where I was when I had the steering centered the other way.